Following the initial strength test, Xiao Yan and the others prepared for the soul power test. The second part, the soul power test, is quite straightforward. All you need to do is unleash the power within your soul sea, and this device will automatically detect its level, Mo Chen explained. Soul power is graded on a scale from 1 to 10, with 1 being the lowest and 10 the highest. Let's begin. As Mo Chen finished speaking, the room's lights suddenly dimmed, and a glowing pearl appeared in his hand. Wow, it's actually a spirit-absorbing pearl. Lu Yin exclaimed upon seeing the pearl in Mo Chen's hand. What is a spirit-absorbing pearl? Xiao Yan asked. A spirit-absorbing pearl is an item used by sects to test the talents of their disciples. It's said to be quite valuable, Lu Yin replied. On the Dodi continent, everyone possesses some degree of soul power from birth if they have Do Qi, even if they haven't specifically cultivated soul power. However, the strength of one's soul power varies from person to person, and it's usually not something that can be easily detected, Yuru added. Back on the Do Qi continent, Xiao Yan learned that the soul levels for alchemists are classified into 4 realms: mortal realm, spiritual realm, heavenly realm, and imperial realm. Each realm is further divided into 3 sublevels: early, mid, and great perfection. A spiritual realm alchemist can refine 8th grade pills, a heavenly realm one can refine 9th grade pills, and an imperial realm alchemist can refine emperor tier pills. With a thoughtful look, Xiao Yan stepped forward toward Mo Chen to undergo the test. But just as he was about to proceed, Wang Zhong and a few others suddenly appeared in front of him, signaling him with their eyes as if trying to convey something. Seeing this, Xiao Yan nodded in understanding and stepped back. Wang Zhong, soul power level 4. Mo Chen announced softly. Wang Zhong wasn't surprised at all. After all, soul power is intangible and elusive. Compared to his sword, he'd rather spend more time honing his swordsmanship. Sun Ming, soul power level 3. Mo Chen announced again. Heh, you old brute. Your soul power is actually much weaker than mine? Wang Zhong said, clearly satisfied, to Sun Ming. Soul power isn't for me. I'm more suited to real combat. Sun Ming grinned, unfazed by Wang Zhong's teasing. And even though your soul power is at level 4, it doesn't necessarily make you stronger than me. Why don't we have another match outside? Sun Ming laughed heartily. Upon hearing this, Wang Zhong quickly shut his mouth. Although he was indeed a sword fanatic, he didn't want to face Sun Ming in a duel. Back in the 7 great cities, the two often sparred and knew each other's moves well. Sun Ming's berserker bloodline was no joke. Even though Wang Zhong had mastered some sword techniques, Sun Ming's reckless fighting style, often trading heavy injuries to inflict greater damage, made him a dangerous opponent. Mu Lu, soul power level 5. Ginseng Su, soul power level 5. Yao Mei, soul power level 6. Lu Yin, soul power level 6. Feng Yi, soul power level 7. Yu Ru, soul power level 7. Mo Chen looked at the group in front of him and shook his head. Although a soul power level of 7 was decent, to earn the coveted 5-star talent ranking, soul power was crucial. A level of at least 8 was likely necessary to have a chance. He looked somewhat helplessly at the 8 people before him. Xiao Yan observed himself thoughtfully. Considering that even Feng Yi and Yu Ru, with their Imperial Realm soul power, only scored a 7, it seemed his own score might reach 8 at best. But there was no point in overthinking it now. He stepped forward, looking at Mo Chen. Brother Mo, I haven't taken the test yet. Noticing Mo Chen's distracted expression, Xiao Yan spoke up. Oh, my hasty nature got the best of me. I thought everyone had finished already. Ha, Mo Chen laughed again. Regardless of the talent levels among these 9 individuals, he had to complete the testing. Although those with exceptional talent would receive abundant resources, he couldn't treat anyone differently just because their talents seemed average. If the higher-ups found out, it would violate a significant taboo in the Mystic 3 heavens. Alright, just do as the others did before you. Okay. Xiao Yan closed his eyes, concentrating as he reached into his soul sea and channeled his soul power toward the spirit-absorbing pearl in Mo Chen's hand. As soon as Xiao Yan's soul power manifested, the dim room instantly brightened. Mo-chun was taken aback by the sudden surge of immense soul power. His previously relaxed demeanor vanished as he focused intently on the pearl in his hand. Trying to show off? Mu-lu grumbled, clearly displeased with Xiao Yan's display. After all, Xiao Yan had defeated him in the ruins, and then Xiao Yan had sent his father a gift when he attempted to capture Xiao Yan at the Yu family. This left Mu-lu harboring deep resentment towards him. This kid, it feels like his soul power has grown stronger, Wang Zhong remarked, noting the apparent increase in Xiao Yan's soul power since their time in Qing City and the ruins. I heard Xiao Yan isn't just powerful in soul energy. He's also an emperor-ranked Tier 1 alchemist? Feng Yi said in astonishment. She had heard this before, but hadn't paid much attention. After all, becoming an alchemist requires 3 basic conditions: materials, fire seeds, and soul perception. Xiao Yan had the materials and fire seeds, but Feng Yi had never believed in his soul power. However, witnessing this now, her delicate brows furrowed slightly. The overwhelming evidence suggested Xiao Yan could indeed be an emperor-ranked Tier 1 alchemist. To achieve such a level at such a young age meant his future potential was limitless. Feng Yi covered her mouth in surprise, glancing at Xiao Yan. It seemed she had made up her mind about something. I wonder what level Xiao Yan will reach this time? Sun Ming asked curiously. If you ask me, considering Feng Yi's soul power is at the Imperial realm, Xiao Yan's soul power should be even stronger. So, an evaluation of 8 wouldn't be surprising, Yao Mei said, teasingly playing with her fingers and striking a seductive pose. An evaluation of 8. Huh? Impressive. No wonder he's an emperor-ranked Tier 1 alchemist. The others murmured amongst themselves. Mo-chun stared at the spirit-absorbing pearl in his hand and suddenly noticed it starting to change. Unlike the slow shifts observed with the others, this time the change was rapid. 8! A prominent number appeared on the spirit-absorbing pearl. As expected, said the others who had already completed their tests. Hearing this, Xiao Yan continued to pour his entire soul power into the pearl. Mo-chun, caught off guard by the sudden surge, had no time to be pleased before noticing the number on the spirit-absorbing pearl starting to flicker. The group watched as Mo-chun's eyes were locked on the pearl. 9! It's actually 9! Mo-chun exclaimed excitedly. It's not over yet. Yu-ru, sharp-eyed, pointed out. Nearby, Xiao Yan, his eyes tightly shut, had initially channeled all the soul power within his soul sea into the pearl. He was about to open his eyes, exhausted, when he heard Mo-chun's exclamation and nodded in satisfaction. But just as he was about to open his eyes, he was stunned by a sudden surge of power from within. He realized, to his shock, that a force deep within his mud pill palace was also converging madly toward the spirit-absorbing pearl. However, Mo-chun, caught up in his excitement, didn't notice this surge of power. But just as that force entered the pearl, the 9 on the spirit-absorbing pearl transformed into a 10. How is this possible? He's reached full soul power. Mo-chun's eyes widened as he stared at the unmistakable 10 on the spirit-absorbing pearl. At that moment, the 10 shone brilliantly on the pearl, and the room, which had been dark, was now as bright as if clouds from the sky had illuminated it. Cough, cough, cough. Xiao Yan opened his eyes and coughed violently. When the number on the pearl had first jumped to 8, Xiao Yan had only used half of his soul power. But then, thinking further, he decided to inject the remaining half, which then caused it to jump to 9. Having exhausted his soul power, he knew it would be impossible for it to climb further. Just as he was about to open his eyes, a strange phenomenon occurred. The divine motion inscription, quietly floating in his mud pill palace, suddenly began to tremble violently and transformed into a massive surge of energy, pouring into the spirit-absorbing pearl in Mo-chun's hand. The divine motion inscription within the mud pill palace continuously channeled energy into the pearl, and Xiao Yan could feel the energy was pure and potent. After hearing the surprised exclamations of 10 from Mo-chun and the others, Xiao Yan slowly opened his eyes. He sensed that the divine motion inscription seemed to have stopped transmitting energy to the pearl, as if it had not fully unleashed its power. It then fell silent again, as if nothing had ever happened. Just as Xiao Yan's divine motion inscription began injecting its power into the spirit-absorbing pearl, Xiao Yan's body trembled violently. He was surprised to find that the divine motion inscription within him was incredibly powerful, and its energy bore a striking resemblance to spiritual power. The magnificent spirit-absorbing pearl, which had been stuck on 9, started to glow again under Xiao Yan's mental infusion. A dazzling 9-colored light emanated from the pearl in Mo Chen's hand, spreading instantly throughout the room. In the blink of an eye, the pearl sparkled like a brilliant gem. The 9-colored light slowly enveloped the room, lingering for a long time. Based on previous tests, as long as the spirit-absorbing pearl displayed more than one color of light, even just a hint, it indicated that the person being tested possessed an 8th-level soul power. But now, the pearl was radiating a dazzling 9-colored light, which could only mean one thing. Brother Mo, what's wrong? Xiao Yan, who had just opened his eyes, noticed that Mo Chen's eyes seemed moist. He thought Mo Chen might be touched by some sad memory and was about to offer some words of comfort. But to his surprise, Mo Chen suddenly burst into laughter, a laughter that bordered on madness. Ha ha ha! Mo Chen began waving his arms wildly, holding up the spirit-absorbing pearl. Brother Mo, are you all right? The others nearby, noticing something odd about Mo Chen's behavior, voiced their concerns. I'm fine, Mo Chen replied, waving his hand. Suddenly, a spatial jade shard shattered in midair. Little Black, come over and handle the rest of these tests. I have urgent matters to attend to. Not more than 10 seconds later, a dark-skinned figure appeared in the room. What the hell, Mo Chen? You're interrupting my nap, grumbled Little Black, the dark-skinned man, rubbing his sleepy eyes. It was clear he'd been woken up abruptly to take on this tedious task, and was far from pleased. Rubbing his eyes again, he noticed that Mo Chen seemed to be testing this group's soul power. He recalled this was the last batch to be tested. Level 10 full soul? Who is it? When he had first entered the room, the bright light had seemed like a Do-Chi light column, so he hadn't paid much attention to the spirit-absorbing pearl. But when his gaze fell on the distinct 10 on the pearl in Mo Chen's hand, and he saw the 9-colored light flowing gently across the ceiling, he was instantly stunned. Take care of the people here. This is far too important. I must take him to see Uncle Wu immediately, Mo Chen ordered. Xiao Yan, follow me, Mo Chen said firmly. Then with a wave of his hand, the spirit-absorbing pearl disappeared into his sleeve. Caught off guard by the sudden turn of events, Xiao Yan was momentarily confused, but nodded and followed him. The remaining 8 people looked at each other in bewilderment, but remained silent. All right, you better go quickly, Little Black responded. A full soul. How unexpected, he muttered, watching the 2 figures disappear into the distance. It seems the heavens are favoring our mystic 3 heavens this time. Meanwhile, in a quiet room, Hudu was sipping tea thoughtfully. There seems to be some unknown secret here. Indeed, I can't shake the feeling that something is off about these disappearances, Wu Jiang replied, furrowing his brows in evident frustration. And those 2 boys from the Jiang family left without informing their families. Hudu set down his teacup. Don't tell me those 2 from the Jiang family are on the missing list too. Yes, Wu Jiang answered slowly. This is bad news. Hudu's face turned grim. Both of them knew that the 2 from the Jiang family were the grandsons of a highly influential elder in the sword sect. If something happened to them here, the consequences would be severe. Why would they come here to participate in the tests and selection when they could have joined the sect directly? Hudu wondered aloud. Those 2 fear nothing. They didn't inform their families at all, so? Wu Jiang replied anxiously. In that case, this matter becomes even more complicated. I've heard that the sect's experts are planning to go out to pay homage to their ancestors in a few days. That might be a good time for us to investigate more thoroughly, Wu Jiang suggested. For some reason, I can't shake the feeling that the missing people are still here. Did you notice? On the path from the boat to the square, there seemed to be a sinister aura, one that's definitely not something humans could possess. Wu Zhang's eyes narrowed as he spoke. You mean? Hu Du exclaimed, his eyes widening. Sure, just drink your tea. Wu Zhang hushed him, raising his teacup to signal him to be quiet. Understanding the gravity of the situation, Hu Du nodded in agreement. Knock, knock, knock. 3 consecutive knocks interrupted their conversation. Who is it? Wu Zhang, already in a bad mood, called out irritably. Uncle Wu, it's me, Mo Chun. I have urgent news, Mo Chun said, hastily bringing Xiao Yan with him. Come in, Wu Zhang replied. What's the urgent matter? Wu Zhang asked. Mo Chun pushed the door open and quickly shut it behind him. Xiao Yan, unsure of what was happening, followed him in without asking any questions. What is it? Wu Zhang inquired. Uncle Wu, please have a look. The spirit-absorbing pearl in his hand began to emit a brilliant 9-colored light, and the unmistakable number 10 appeared slowly on its surface. Impossible. Who is it? Wu Zhang and Hu Du both exclaimed in shock. While others might not understand, Wu Zhang and Hu Du knew exactly what that small 10 represented, an extraordinary level of power. What is going on here? Wu Zhang's eyes shone as he looked at the 9-colored light. With a wave of his hand, a powerful dou qi surrounded the room, encircling everyone within. Uncle Wu, to be honest, I just led the 9 people that Uncle Hu Du brought to be tested. The light from the spirit-absorbing pearl came from Xiao Yan. Mo Chun explained carefully, his tone making it clear he understood the gravity of the situation. Is this true? Hu Du squinted suspiciously. I saw it with my own eyes, Mo Chun confirmed. This is truly a blessing for our mystic 3 heavens. Wu Zhang said again, filled with awe. Senior, what's happening? Xiao Yan asked, bewildered by their reactions. Haha, since your soul talent has reached level 10, we won't keep this from you, Hu Du said, smiling with a hint of excitement. All right, Xiao Yan replied. You may not know this, but although this so-called test appears to have 3 parts, strength, soul, and physical endurance, the most crucial part is the soul power test. The other 2 are just distractions, Hu Du explained. While those with strong physical strength and endurance certainly have good potential, they are nothing compared to someone with exceptional soul talent. Do you know what this means? Wu Zhang asked, clearly enjoying drawing out the suspense. I don't know, Senior, Xiao Yan responded humbly, as he genuinely didn't know. It means limitless potential, Wu Zhang said, full of admiration. Limitless potential? Xiao Yan asked, puzzled. You might not understand yet. The excellence of soul power talent determines one's future achievements, Wu Zhang continued. Even though individuals with strong physical strength and high endurance are often noticed and recruited by major sects, compared to you, those are rare cases of luck, whereas your situation is a certainty. To put it simply, even if you don't participate in the selection trials, the major sects will compete to recruit you and invite you to join them. Hu Du added. Everyone knows how extraordinary a level 10 soul talent is. Since our records began, there have only been 5 such individuals in the mystic 3 heavens, and you are the 6th. Wu Zhang continued passionately. What happened to them in the end? Xiao Yan asked, now understanding why everyone was so shocked. Considering the mystic 3 heavens has existed for thousands of years, they all, without exception, stood at the pinnacle of the mystic 3 heavens. Wu Zhang answered with reverence. This? Xiao Yan's pupils narrowed tightly as he grasped the significance of what he had heard. Surprised, are you? But you shouldn't be, Wu Zhang said calmly. You probably don't know why we value soul talent so highly, do you? In the Dou Di continent, the strength of one's soul talent determines their future accomplishments, Wu Zhang explained. Some people remain mediocre their entire lives because their soul talent is insufficient. You may not realize this now, because your strength isn't high enough, but as you advance further, you'll discover that from the 6-star Dou Di level onwards, each rank advancement is closely tied to soul power. If your soul power doesn't reach the required level, you will fail to advance, no matter how well prepared you are. And do you know why there are so few Dou Xian experts in the mystic 3 heavens? Wu Zhang continued. It's also because of soul power. From what I understand, The fundamental requirement to advance to Do Xian is to possess a soul power at the immortal realm level. Without it, many prodigies remain trapped at the peak of the Do D level, Wu Jiang explained further. But soul power is an elusive thing, not as straightforward to cultivate as Do Qi. Without enough talent, and the fact that your soul power has reached 10 indicates that your future achievements are limitless. At your young age, you already possess a soul power at the Imperial Realm mortal grade. Reaching the immortal realm in the future is just a matter of time. So, someone with the potential to reach the Do Xian level will naturally attract a lot of attention, Wu Jiang concluded. I see. Xiao Yan nodded in understanding. He now realized the tight link between soul power and the advancement of Do Qi levels. However, he didn't put too much stock into talk about talent. He believed the only true path was to cultivate steadily, step by step. Wu Jiang, despite his excitement, remained rational. Seeing Xiao Yan's calm demeanor, he nodded approvingly. Many people, upon hearing about their tremendous potential, would become arrogant. Clearly, Xiao Yan had not, which spoke well of his character and determination. In that case, I'll make the decision. Xiao Yan, you don't need to participate in the selection trials this time. You can choose to join any of the 9 major sects, and I'm sure they would be more than happy to have you, Hu Du grinned. What? Senior, I actually want to participate in this selection trial to test myself, Xiao Yan exclaimed, surprised by the sudden turn of events. Oh, are you sure? There will be many powerful participants in this trial. With your current 3-star, Do D strength? Hu Du cautioned. Now isn't the time to act on impulse. Your potential is so tremendous. You need to protect it carefully, Hu Du advised. Don't worry, Senior. As they say, the rigid easily break, but Xiao Yan is not so fragile. I want to challenge myself in this trial where all the talents gather. Xiao Yan smiled, understanding that combat was the best and quickest way to improve his strength and practical experience. You make a good point, young man. I was too hasty, Hu Du realized with a laugh. In that case, Mo-chan, take him to rest. The selection trials will begin in a few days, Wu Jiang instructed. Also, no need to conduct further tests. Assign Xiao Yan the 5-star talent status. And remember, this matter must not be leaked. Wu Jiang's seemingly casual instruction made even Mo-chan envious. A 5-star talent status? Each site only has 10 of these at most. Come on, let's go to your quarters to rest, Mo-chan said. Xiao Yan followed Mo-chan, leaving Wu Jiang and Hu Du in the room. We should report this matter to the sect leader as soon as possible. If we can recruit Xiao Yan into our sect early, we won't come in last in this year's competition among the 9 major sects, Wu Jiang said. A red scroll appeared out of nowhere. Wu Jiang wrote something on it, and with a flick of his hand, the space warped and swallowed the scroll. Under the guidance of Little Black, Yuru and the others completed their tests and returned to their residence. Although Yuru was concerned about Xiao Yan, she did not go looking for him. After all, they were unfamiliar with the place and people here, so she decided to settle down first and make plans later. We've arrived. This is your accommodation, Mu Chen said as he led Xiao Yan to a rather luxurious room. After giving him a few instructions, Mu Chen vanished. Xiao Yan noticed that his accommodation seemed different from the others. It was much more lavish. However, he had little time to dwell on it. After overexerting his soul power and spiritual energy during the soul aptitude test, he immediately lay down to rest. The day quickly passed. Xiao Yan woke up early the next morning. He recalled that Mu Chan mentioned a market near their residence, where they could trade for anything they needed. Thus, Xiao Yan decided to head there today. After securing his room, he walked towards the bustling market near their dwelling. The marketplace was a desolate alley, filled with the endless clamor of street vendors selling medicine and weapons. In the distance, a figure approached, and soon he reached a pavilion. On closer inspection, it was a young man in his late 20s or early 30s, dressed in blue, scholarly robes, exuding handsomeness. His eyes were as clear as water and as bright as a mirror, full of spirit and remarkably captivating. At first glance, this young man seemed like a frail scholar, but where he came from was unknown. This person was actually Xiao Yan, who had disguised himself to avoid drawing attention. His destination was naturally the marketplace. He dressed in this manner to gather some intelligence discreetly and to purchase essential items like medicinal herbs. Glancing at a nearby tea house, a slight smile appeared on Xiao Yan's face as he strolled over. Tea houses are often the best places to gather information, being a hub for idle chatter. Xiao Yan noticed this tea house was quite modest, with only a dozen worn-out tables and some simple yet clean benches. The shopkeeper was an elderly man, well over 60, with a face etched with the marks of time. Looking around, Xiao Yan saw two other people having tea. The most noticeable among them was a young man in tattered Taoist robes, around Xiao Yan's age, with a distinctive appearance and a mischievous smile on his face. "Be careful. There's something strange about that guy's aura," came the voice of Xiao Yan's master, the Golden Dragon King, suddenly echoing in his mind. Driven by curiosity, Xiao Yan prepared to probe the Taoist-robed youth, but his power was insufficient to see through him. When he attempted to use his soul power for investigation, he discovered an unknown barrier blocking his senses. The Taoist youth seemed to sense Xiao Yan's probing gaze and turned his attention towards him. Ignoring the potential risk, Xiao Yan found a seat and asked the shopkeeper, "Waiter, a pot of good tea and some snacks, please." "Right away, sir," a skinny young man replied promptly. "Enjoy your tea, sir. The snacks will be here shortly." Within a few breaths, the waiter placed the tea on Xiao Yan's table and went to fetch the snacks. As Xiao Yan spoke, the Taoist youth in the tattered robes immediately turned his head toward Xiao Yan, a peculiar smile appearing on his face. Suddenly, the youth jumped next to Xiao Yan, grinning widely, meeting his fate. "How about making a friend?" He chuckled afterward. Xiao Yan looked at him, his face filled with a playful grin, as if he were a child who hadn't grown up, endearing in his way. At this moment, the elderly shopkeeper also noticed Xiao Yan and said, "Sir, judging by your distinguished appearance, you must be here to train at one of the sects in the mystic three heavens, right? That's a great place." In past years, those who joined those sects turned out to be outstanding talents. Every year, many people from all directions gather here for a selection, vying for a spot among the strongest, he continued, placing some snacks on Xiao Yan's table. It was evident the shopkeeper held those sects in the mystic three heavens in high regard. Watching the shopkeeper walk away, Xiao Yan smiled and asked, "And you are?" The Taoist youth replied with a sly grin, "Who I am isn't important, but I know you're here for the selection, right?" "Oh, are you here for the same?" Xiao Yan didn't deny it. After all, there was nothing shameful about participating in the selection, so he saw no need to hide it. The young Taoist quickly responded, "In that case, we are competitors, but that doesn't stop us from being friends. Who knows, we might end up helping each other. By the way, what's your name?" "Yimi Vin." "How about it? Pretty good name, huh?" He looked at Xiao Yan, waiting for a response. Xiao Yan smiled. "My name is Yin Xiao. Nice to meet you, Mu Feng." "That's a great name. Quite impressive." "Nice to meet you too. But I'm new here. Could you tell me more about the selection?" Hearing the compliment, Mu Feng smiled and replied, "Yin Xiao, nice to meet you too. You've come to the right person. As for the selection, I heard it's based on a point system, though I don't know the specifics. After the 5-tier talent announcement tomorrow, the selection will be divided based on that. By the way, what level do you think you'll reach in this test? And what are you planning to learn in the Mystic Three Heavens?" "I'm here to learn their demon-slaying sword techniques. I heard their Taoist arts are formidable," he said, his eyes gleaming with excitement, as if he had already mastered the skill. Xiao Yan, somewhat overwhelmed by the barrage of questions from this newly met Taoist youth, replied, "As for the talent level, there's no need to force it. I'll go with the flow." Taking a sip of his tea, Xiao Yan looked into the distance and said softly, "I'm going to the Mystic Three Heavens to see their strong ones and experience the unique culture there. As for what I'll learn, I'll decide when the time comes." Mu Feng's eyes twinkled with a smile. "I heard there are many sword techniques there. You could learn some powerful combat skills and sword techniques. You might become a hero. That would be nice. I have some matters to attend to, so I'll take my leave now," Xiao Yan said, realizing Mu Feng could be a bit clingy. He tossed a few copper coins on the table and made an excuse to leave. This guy's aura seems somewhat concealed, but I can sense that he's a formidable opponent.